Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another Top Cut breakdown. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Supah Playaz Online Untap 1K tournament that took place over the weekend. Shout out to the Supah Playaz for throwing this event. Obviously with the state of the world and everything, it's always a nice thing to see when we can get an event, whether it's webcam, whether it's IRL, or whether it's Untap. Untap's one that's definitely been underutilized as of late. They tried to do it more towards the beginning of quarantine, but Untap couldn't quite handle the giant masses of people that were trying to play. This was capped at 50 players, so probably a good choice on their part to make sure that Untap wouldn't get too buggy. But also, shout out to the Supah Playaz for getting me this information so I could bring it to you guys in this video form. That being said, if you guys are new here, definitely subscribe, hit that bell so there's a video. If you guys want to support the channel and you want to start trying to compete in events like this where $1,000 is on the line, check out the Patreon down in the description below. It does help out the channel a lot, and I do post a lot of competitive content on there. It will have you look at the game in a bit of a more competitive aspect, and it'll help get your game up. That being said, let's get started with the top 8. So here we'll just kind of list it off. We have first place, red, blue, green launch tricolor. Pretty cool stuff there, to be honest. Second place, Dark Broly. Third place, red, blue, Beerus, Brian Samuel, the Wizard Man. I guess we'll talk more about that as we get into the individual decks. Fourth place, Mecha Frieza. Fifth place, Sin Shenron. Sixth and seventh place, both Mecha Frieza. Eighth place, red, green launch. All right, so just from the few weeks that we've been exposed to the set 12 meta, right, we've kind of known that the top three, at least power level wise, we have red Broly, Dark Broly, and Mecha Frieza. I feel like that's pretty established at this point. But for whatever reason, red Broly does not see a lot of play, and it doesn't see a lot of top cut conversion. So that may just like directly speak against what I just said, as where red Broly's in that like top echelon of power. But with Mecha Frieza taking so many spots in this top 8, that is perceived to be a bad matchup for red Broly. So as for that, I mean, it kind of makes sense as to why red Broly might not be in this top 8. And I mean, we're seeing some of the usual suspects here: Mecha Frieza, Dark Broly, even Sin Shenron's one that definitely lingers in top 8s. But launch is a deck that's picking up a lot of popularity. I think it's going to be a very popular deck going forward. People are really seeming to gravitate towards it. I think one of the main reasons for that is just because the deck is so flexible in what it can do and how it can build. So of course, like I just said, we saw first place was a red, blue, green launch deck. This was super cool. I mean, for a while I've been talking about the differences between red green launch and red blue launch. You know, I think red blue launch is much more Hercule-esque, where it can just combo really efficiently. You have cards like Divine Obliterator to untap your blue reds, play coolers, start minusing the battle cards on your opponent's board. If you string multiple coolers together, you're removing battle cards at a really fast rate. It's really strong. And then red green I view much more of like an aggressive build, and yes, you still have that really powerful combo step where you're drawing cards and flipping your leader, drawing more cards, but you have like Piccolo Eradicator of Peace, which is a really powerful aggressive tool on turn 2. Lots of easy ways in this deck too to support the alliance of that card, right? But this list, the first place list, was a red, blue, green launch list. Man, that is honestly really cool. So the goal of this deck, as far as I'm aware, and unfortunately I didn't get to see the actual deck list, but those will be out. I'm being told they will be out today, so make sure to check those out, probably on the Supah Playaz Facebook page. But anyways, this deck was aiming to charge red-blue multicolors, so whether you're charging your coolers, whether you're charging other red-blue cards you may be playing, like Hercule Boo possibly, untapping those with Beerus Divine Obliterator, but also splashing green, and I'm assuming that's going to be able to allow them to play the Piccolo 5 seconds to Eradication to still keep up that pressure. Now, what's really funny is I was told this deck had 22 10k combos in it. Now, with Senzu Bean, that can be okay to a degree, because you know, you're untapping energy, getting more usage out of those 10k combos, and of course if you're comboing a 10k in launch, you're basically turning all those 10ks into pseudo combos that draw. So maybe that was the main strategy of the deck, but I do really want to see this deck list. I'm positive it's going to be on Team FOE's channel or PPG's channel, because it was one of their players, so we'll have to kind of wait and see for that. But top 8, the 8th place player, Gabe, shout out to Gabe, one of our players for Crossworld. He got 8th place with the red green variant. Again, like I said before, very aggressive, still does take advantage of that combo step where launch gets to draw. But I think Piccolo is seriously one of the strongest multicolor cards we've gotten in recent memory. Like, Alliance was a strategy that was on release, it fell very flat. It definitely did not do much at all in terms of its release with the rest of the red green cards. But as time has gone on, they've printed more cards, like the Liqueur Angel and Destroyer card. That card was a really good card for Alliance, but costing 3 made it a little bit weird to play in the format. But Piccolo is such a strong card with Alliance. Draw 2, burn 1, double strike. it's honestly a triple striker going for game. And yeah, it's a little bit vulnerable because it doesn't have barrier, doesn't have deflect, and it is a bit more vulnerable against green as well, because if they activate Dormant Potential Unleashed, you lose your Piccolo right then and there. But you do get to still activate the Alliance in that case, so you still do get to draw and burn your opponent for a damage. So the deck, while it does have counters, I do think it's going to continue to increase in popularity as we move on into the format. We'll have to see how it evolves. Maybe mono red will see some play, maybe some other color combinations will see some play. This is really cool stuff here. Next up, we have the one Dark Broly. Now, this is, again, nothing new. Dark Broly, we know it is one of the top decks of the format. The deck's just super resilient. You have a lot of combo power. When you awaken, you're generally sitting on like a 12-card hand. The introduction of Heartfelt Plea is a really, really strong play the deck can do on awakening by sacrificing the Unbridled Destruction Broly, the new red card that came out of the Ultimate deck Toa. Deck's really, really good. No one's really disputing that. One thing I do see, which I don't generally like to do this, but I have a lot of experience with the deck, so I am actually genuinely just curious. I do see a lot more lists playing Dark Mask King, Devilish Dominator, and every single time I see it, I just ask myself why. I don't really understand it in the deck, right? So it's 25k, so it's not 30k. It doesn't really mesh too well with your leader. You can't put it to the drop area with your leader skill. You can't combo it for 5k in a pinch. And it's a 4-drop deflect battle card. Yeah, that might be okay against blue, but blue is not super played right now. Blue is not really seeing much play at all right now. It's probably the most underplayed color at this point. And honestly, tapping 4 in Dark Broly, there's just so much more you can do. Like, generally with 4 energy, you can play 4 Dark Brolys, do a lot of aggressive stuff like that. I just don't see the appeal to this card, but I do see more and more lists picking it up. So maybe there's something I'm not seeing. If there is, just let me know in the comments below what you think about that. But I really don't see this card doing a whole lot of work in the deck. Again, tapping 4 for Dark Broly when you have the ability to win on turn 3 a lot of the times, but even turn 4 you can do other things, and that's one of the things that we kind of disputed ourselves at the PPG Miami event. Do we even side deck a card like Dark Banisher Fu, which also costs 4, arguably has a more impactful effect than Devilish Dominator? Do we even side deck Dark Banisher? Because on turn 4, we can potentially just play all 4 of our Dark Brolys in one turn and go for a crazy aggro turn, right? So, I don't know, just something I was thinking about. I do want in the comments below what you think. I don't mean to trash on the card in any respect. I just think there are other things you can do in Dark Broly that maybe synergize a bit more. Next up, we have Red Beerus. Again, Brian Samuel, man. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see his deck list, but, I mean, he's an absolute wizard. I totally trust his judgment taking this deck to the event. Obviously, he did incredibly well with it, making it into the top 8. Again, I didn't get to see his list, so I don't know exactly what this deck was aiming to do. I was told it was a red-blue build, so I'm assuming it played Beerus, Divine Obliterator, and cards of that nature, probably Cooler Technical Assault, things like that. I can almost guarantee you this is going to be on Supah Playaz channel because Brian Samuel does play for that team. So definitely stay tuned to their channel to check out Brian's list. I am also incredibly excited to see it. I can't wait for that deck profile to go live. I wish I can get more info on it for you guys here, but unfortunately, I was not able to see the list. Next up, Mecha Frieza taking up the most spots in this top 8. Very, very interesting stuff. I did make a comment on a podcast. If you guys didn't see that, check out Hermit Style Podcast. I was on their podcast last week, and I did make a comment that Mecha Frieza, I felt like at least was going to fall off a bit in power because it seems a bit tougher Dark Broly, or to beat Dark Broly as Mecha Frieza, I should say. But even when I say that, Vegeta Unison of Fury, at least from my experience with Dark Broly, is a very, very difficult card to deal with because most of your guys are always going to cost more than your energy cost. Yes, you do have some lower cost guys that can attack into the Vegeta. The main way I've found to deal with Unison of Fury as Dark Broly is to honestly just drop a Champa onto this thing. But even then, you're basically just losing a turn essentially and allowing Mecha Frieza to ramp up their energy, ramp up their defenses, get more plays going, things of that nature. Now what was really cool about Mecha Frieza is that the lists were very different. Shout out to Amani for making it into the top 8 here with his Mecha Frieza build. He was not playing the Slug Engine, he was side decking Unison of Fury, opting to main deck the cooler Unison and more of just like the cells, you know, turbo type of stuff, as where Anthony Figueroa from Team FOE, he was main decking the Lord Slug Engine, which is one that I really, really like. I do like this engine. I've just noticed that it's not as good against Red Broly and not as good against Dark Broly. But if the meta is shifting in such a way that people aren't really playing Red Broly and Mecha Frieza does actually have a good matchup, people are going to play other decks like Mecha Frieza, like more rogue decks like Launch, where the Slug Engine's actually very, very good. The Slug Engine is really good against most rogue decks. It's really good in the Mecha Frieza mirror match, so maybe it is a good move to start adopting this engine into your main deck. That could definitely be a good meta call there, and that's one of the really intricate things about high level play, is analyzing the meta like that. Is Red Broly, Dark Broly really popular? I probably shouldn't play the Lord Slug Engine. Are more rogue decks seeing play in the field now? I should probably start to look at the Lord Slug Engine and probably main deck it again. There are a lot of really intricate deck building things, and Mecha Freeze is so cool for that respect because it's such a generic yellow good stuff deck that you can customize it to really battle the format, and that's what I love about this game. That's what I love about metas that we have, much like this. Finally, guys, one more usual suspect, Sin Shenron. One thing about Sin is that I think it really has evolved going in set 12. I mean, we do see here and there people post a lot about these aggro builds, but I think what's really cool about Sin right now is that Omega Shenron Allies Absorb lets you play such a flexible game. Copying any of your Shenrons in your drop area is such a strong effect. You can get the barrier blocker, you can copy the effect of the 9 drop to negate your opponent's battle card skills, you can copy the dual attacker for a 30k dual attack. There's just so much flexibility with this card, and now Sin Shenron has a turn 2 way to play Celzino, which I think is just super dumb, but I mean, it is what it is. So basically on turn 2, after playing a ball on turn 1, you can play this Omega Shenron by sacrificing the ball, play it out, that's your 8 drop, and then you can play Nova Shenron for 1 energy next to this guy, that's 4+8, Celzino on turn 2. That can actually catch a lot of people off guard if you happen to draw it at that right time. So the deck just has evolved where it can play a lot more aspects of the game. You could be a bit more aggressive. If you catch your opponent slipping without any energy for a negate, you can get him with a turn 2 Celzino. A lot of crazy stuff you can do with Sin Shenron right now. It is a really cool deck to try and mess around with. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Again, shout out to Supah Playaz for getting me the info and for throwing this tournament in general. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.